How to do your best on the MCA3 math test. First of all, you should understand why you're taking it. The state and federal government use the information to see if you're making adequate yearly progress. Hidden Oaks uses the information to improve classroom teaching and learning. Your performance is an indicator of how well you'll do on the grad test. You need to pass the grad test to graduate. Next, you need to take the test seriously. Athletes use visualization and positive self-talk to improve their performance. You can use it to influence your performance too. Picture yourself being successful. Very quickly in your head, say to yourself, "I will do my best," before each problem. Consider the MCA test a serious game with the goal of getting as many points correct as you can. General tips. Come to the test rested, prepared, and confident. Do all your work on scratch paper. Don't do it all in your head. You get extra credit for showing your work on at least 24 problems. Yep, you heard right. You get extra credit for showing your work on at least 24 problems. So that means if you show your work on 23 problems, you would not get the extra credit. It has to be 24 problems. You should use the toolbar to highlight and eliminate answers, and read each question and think about what it is asking. You should ignore other test takers. Often the people who finish tests first get lower grades. Don't feel that taking your time indicates lack of intelligence. What I would suggest is to use the headphones that are offered for the test. Even if you don't want to listen to the person read the question to you, if you put the headphones on, it will drown out other noise around you and help you focus more on your test. Other tips would be to draw pictures or sketches that can help you visualize the problem. When you finish each section, go back and recheck your answers. Only change an answer if you're absolutely sure that the changed answer is more likely the correct one. Use the review key to mark questions you want to come back to at the end of a section. Multiple choice. Watch out for trap answers. The test makers try to put down answers that are a result of common mistakes made by students. Do not fall for those traps. Perhaps solve the problem first and then carefully choose what you believe is the very best answer. Narrow down your choices to 2 solutions if you don't know the answer for sure. You can usually eliminate 2 of the choices right away. When in doubt, make an educated guess. Don't leave any answers blank. Multiple choice continued. If you 100% know the answer, click that answer. If you can eliminate answers, do so by crossing out the A, B, C, or D that you know are wrong with the elimination tool. If you have absolutely no idea of how to do on a particular problem, this should be very rare, click the choice of your best educated guess. Read the problem first, reread, highlight, circle important information, know what the question is asking for, and look at the possible answers, then start to solve the problem. Remember, sometimes it's very helpful for us to work backwards. If we're stuck on a question, we can look at the answer blanks and see the format the answer is in, what the answers are, and you can go back and plug them into your equation or your graph and see which one works. So if you've forgotten how to do something, maybe try the tip of working backwards, looking at your answers and then seeing if you can figure it out from there. If your mind is blocked by tension during the test, close your eyes, take a long, deep breath, and let it out slowly. Concentrate on your breathing. Actually feel or hear yourself breathe. Don't allow yourself to worry about the time, test, or tension. Repeat once, then return to the test. More MCA math helpful tips. These would be for your calculator use and your formula sheet. All right, with the computer calculator, you'll see it over on the right. Now, this calculator has 2 parts. It's scientific and it's graphing. We'll first talk about the scientific part. First of all, can you put a negative number into this calculator? Now, we've talked about this a lot this year. You have to remember that when you're doing a negative, if you don't put the negative in the calculator, if you don't put it in correctly, the calculator will read that as the opposite of a number. So when you're putting in a negative number, you want to make sure that you use the parentheses and put the parentheses around the number. For instance, if you were going to take -5 minus 8, it would be helpful to put the parentheses around the -5 and then do -8. Now, where is the negative sign on the calculator? It's over here on the right. Do you see that plus minus button? That is the button for the negative sign, so you would use that to turn a number into a negative. Then you also need to notice where the parentheses are, and up in the upper left-hand corner, you see the parentheses, and the parentheses are right here. So you would do parenthesis, negative, and then you would hit 5 parenthesis, and then you would subtract 8. It's also important if you're going to take a number to a power and it's negative, the base is negative, to put that number inside of the parentheses like you see here. So make sure you're aware of that the negative sign is right there on your calculator, and then you're going to want to use the parentheses. Next, can you square a number? If you're going to square a number, the two keys that you're going to use are down here on the lower left. It's the caret key. Now, if you're going to square it, you can just use the key there, that's x raised to the second power, and that will let you square a number. Now, if you had to take a number to a different power other than 2, you would want to use the x caret y key. That would allow you to type in your base. Let's say we were doing 5 to the 4th power. You would type in your base, you would hit the x caret y key, and then you would hit 4, and then you would hit equals, and that would allow you to do a power. All of your functions for adding, subtracting, multiplying, and dividing are over on the right-hand side. If you're finding a percent, remember when you're finding a percent, you're going to take the number that you're talking about. Let's say if we were taking the percent of the students in this class who have their jeans on. Let's say there were 11 of you that had jeans on out of 32. So you would do 11 divided by 32 on your calculator. Remember, the fraction bar is the same as a division key. So you would do that, and then remember to turn it into a percent, you would multiply by 100. Remember, like we were just saying, if you have a fraction is going to go into a decimal by doing division. A fraction is a division problem. There is not a fraction key on this calculator, so you need to make sure if you're turning a number into a fraction, you use your division sign up there. And then scientific notation. If you have a very large or very small number, you might see something like this turn out on your calculator. Now what that means, that E means, or the smaller number means your exponent when a number is written in scientific notation. So if you saw 5.34 e to the -2, or there was a small -2 over in the corner, that would tell you to move the decimal 2 places. Remember, if the decimal is positive, you would move it that many places to the right. If it's negative, you would move it that many places to the left. So in this case, we'd go 1, 2 to the left. Okay? And then the last thing I want to talk about is the graphing calculator part. If you hit the graphing key up there on the top right, that's going to allow you to write an equation in slope-intercept form. So you could do y equals, let's say, 2x plus 1. And it'll graph it for you. So you can look at the graph and figure out where's your y-intercept, where's your slope, which way is the line going. So know that you do have the capability, if that shows up on your test, you can hit graphing and you could put your equation in slope-intercept form, and then you could see where your line is going. All right, your formula sheet. We have been using this formula sheet a lot this year. These are the formulas you're given: the Pythagorean theorem, the distance formula, slope of a line, slope-intercept form, point-slope form, standard form, arithmetic sequence, and geometric sequence. This formula sheet will be on your actual test on the computer that you can pull up, and we'll also give you a paper copy that will be sitting next to your desk. Now, when you're going through these practice problems this next week, make sure you refer to your formula sheet and you use it, you get familiar with it, you know how each one works. We'll refresh our memories on the arithmetic and geometric sequences again, but remember, arithmetic is the same as slope-intercept form, except you have f of x instead of y, which we know they're the same things. Your geometric sequence is a sequence of exponential growth or exponential decay. And then lastly, PEMDAS, you're going to use it. Remember, it's your order of operations. It stands for parentheses, exponents, multiply, divide, add, subtract. Now, remember, P for parentheses is actually our grouping symbols. We're talking parentheses, we're talking brackets, we're talking the fraction bar. Make sure you do all of your math in the grouping symbols first, then move on to exponents, and then move on to multiply and divide. Now when you do multiply and divide, you have to remember that we use the left to right rule, and then we do add and subtract, and again we use the left to right rule. So if you look at this example we have here, we first would do parentheses, so 12 minus 3 would be 9. So then we have 7 plus 9 divided by 2 times 2. Well, then we would divide, and 9 divided by 2 is 4.5. So you have 7 plus 4.5 times 2, so we'd multiply next, and 4.5 times 2 is 9. So then you'd have 7 plus 9, which is 16. Okay, so remember your order of operations, remember PEMDAS. The greatest barrier to success is the fear of failure. Believe in yourself. A lot of you were very close to your goal on your sheet that we gave you. That goal was the growth target that the state set for you. Now, you may not necessarily need to pass the MCAs for us to get a good report for our school. You might just need to make your growth, and making your growth is a great thing. Now, some of you have already made your growth on your OPA test, and you're going to want to even exceed that on this next test. So for some of you, you will want to pass, which is an 850 or higher. Some of you may just want to make your growth, and some of you might want to do both. Now, you all can do it. You have all the tools you need for this year. We're going to be preparing the next week, and you are good to go. So have a positive attitude, believe in yourself, use your strategies we've learned, and you can do it. Shoot for that goal.